Hello, in this video I'm just going to do a general overview of the code associated with question 2 on the 2016 AP Computer Science free response section. A lot of the times these questions you're writing small little methods in isolation, and a lot of the code says assume this works, or you know, we have this function somewhere over here you can access, and so it's sometimes hard to code them, and I actually think there's value in certain cases of trying to code them fully. I do want to stress the point that you should do them by hand first. So in the process of writing these solutions into a program that I could run, I had to kind of code some other sections in it. I'm going to take some time to go through that. And I'll talk about just some general good practices and ideas. So the first thing to remember, critical when you're actually writing the AP, is everything is private. Don't ever make public fields. And don't ever make protected fields. If you're in a class and you're actually, when I mean like a class, if you're in a classroom setting and you're doing a larger project, your teacher may or may not have talked about protected. Protected makes sense in many ways, but protected is not on the AP exam. So don't overthink it. Everything should be private because this idea of encapsulation is so critical. I've kind of built a constructor here for a log message, and we talked about in the video this kind of really useful technique, this useful function within the string class called split. It comes up more time than I can count, and is particularly useful if you're ever writing the Waterloo Computer Science contest and sometimes. If we scroll down a bit more, we talked about contain words as part, of question 2 part B. I'm not going to kind of talk about this in here. And what I've done here is I've included a main method to kind of simulate all this and test it. The other function I have added into here, if I can find it, there we go. I've actually included a toString method into my log message, and this is simply makes it a lot easier for me to test. So remember, the toString method it's an overridden method that all objects get. It's initially defined in the object class, and that the instructions for the toString in the object class print out a reference to the object. So if I take out this toString function just for a second, and let's comment all of this out. Nice little trick a student showed me once is always put double slash in front of your star slash, because that means, back up here, when you delete this, you don't have to deal with the bottom part. Alright, so let's just imagine here for a second that I'm going to say log message lm equals new log message, and we're going to say something like 000, comma, fine, whatever. If I go system.out.println this log message, what's going to happen is it's going to print out the memory reference of this object, and there it is. It tells me the object type, and it gives me the memory reference. Why is it doing this? The reason why it's doing this is because I haven't explicitly stated what this extends. It extends object. So by default, all classes are subclasses of object, and object is the root class. And object has a bunch of pre-built functions that we use all the time. The two that are important to know in context of the AP exam are the equals method and the toString. And I'm not going to talk about the equals method right now because there's a couple other things along with that. But in terms of the toString, that's why when I print this out, it prints out the memory reference, because it will look first in the log message and say, hey, do you have a toString method for me to use? And then it will say no, and then it will work its way up the hierarchy, and then it looks in the object class and says, hey, do you have a toString method? Well, of course you do, and it prints out the memory reference. And the reason why the object class does that is because it has to have some way of that. The object class, everything is at some point a subclass of object, so object has to print out something that everything has in common, and they all have memory references, and that's it. So what we've done here is we've added a toString method in here to make our life a little easier. There it is. Where did it disappear to? I know it's in here somewhere. Oh, that's right, I deleted it, didn't I? So let's bring it back in. Public string toString, and I think I did return machine ID : description. Please, whatever you do, do not make the mistake where you actually print it out in the toString function. Don't do that in there. The toString method simply returns a representation of the object as a string. And we can see that it's overridden by this little green triangle. So if I come into my systems log, I've done the same thing in here. My system log, I have my couple of functions in here. I have my remove one, which is part C, and there's my toString. What I've done with my toString here is, and this again comes up in the AP exam, is sometimes with your toString you have to return a little bit more of a complex string, and that requires multiple lines. So often a really good idea, technique we'll call it, is use string construction in the toString. Then return the string when you're done building it. Also, if you need to return multiple lines, do that using the \n or the escape code \n. There we go. So this toString here, if I run this class here, what I want to do is I want to print out all of the objects inside of this list. So what do is I basically cycle through the list, and then I'm just doing, I have an empty string, and then it's current whatever's in the string plus \n, which is a new line, and then get my message. Now here's the thing, right? When I get, what am I getting from message list? I'm accessing a log message. So if I'm accessing a log message, what it's doing is it's accessing it as a string, which then invokes this toString right here. So if I came in here and I just returned monkey, let's just pretend, and we'll save all here, and then I run this, I'm going to get a whole bunch of monkeys. Oh, eventually, there it is, all the monkeys. Because what's happening is that in my test code here, when I system out .println, somewhere in here, syslog, right? Syslog is a system log object, so it's going to invoke this toString, which it's then going to do is construct that one. And this is being treated as a string, because when I get it, I'm going to call the toString, and that's going to call this toString. This is a really important idea to understand. You know, a number of the old AP exams have this toString concept in there, and it doesn't deal with toStrings in a hierarchy context here, but that's another thing to look at, and I'll make a video of that a little later, I'm sure. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm always looking for feedback. I really enjoy doing this. I think it really helps my teaching. Have a wonderful day, and yeah, post any questions. Take care.